Okay, today we're going to talk about making pancakes. I know everyone has, maybe you use a mix, and that's fine. This is a homemade recipe. When I was a kid growing up, my mom made pancakes or waffles every Saturday morning as I watched cartoons. So this is that recipe that I learned from my mom. And it's great. I'm going to half it because there's only 2 people, and so this is half the recipe. The actual recipe will be in the comments. You can look below for all the ingredients and the amounts. So I'm going to start with, we just do a little bit of milk for the recipe. I've already got this all measured out just for sake of time. And then we add the egg. I don't know why, but I always start with the liquids first. I don't know if it matters. And then I've got salt, baking powder, and sugar in here. Okay. And then this recipe, because I'm halving it, it's going to be about a cup of flour. In the thickness of it, you may adjust how much flour, how much milk, and that can add your thickness of the dough. And the thickness of the dough is going to help your pancakes be thicker or fluffier, depending how you like it, right? And then last thing is we have a little bit of oil. All right. So not a whole lot of ingredients to this. It's really simple, and most times you have that in your home. Okay. What I also do is I always just turn on my griddle as I'm making this. That way, as soon as it's ready to go, I can start cooking. Okay, we're just gonna stir this up and just try to get rid of all the lumps. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't really want lumpy dough, and you'll have bits of flour in your pancakes. And of course, you want to make those eggs all stirred up. So we're gonna get this all whipped up here pretty good to get where you don't see a whole lot of lumps. Okay, that's a pretty good consistency. You like I say, if you want a little fluffier, then you might go maybe a little bit more with the flour, or maybe you might add a little bit more milk if it's maybe too thick. The great thing about this recipe is you can also use this for waffles. It's the exact same recipe. You just might adjust again your thickness. Okay, so we've got that going. Before I put any on the griddle, we're going to come over and do another recipe that I've grown up with. Now, some people may or may not like this. I love this kind of syrup. It's a little bit thinner than what you buy at the store, but we're going to do a homemade syrup recipe. So to start with, on that, we are going to, while that's all over there, getting ready to go, I'm going to do about not quite a cup of sugar. Okay, we're going to throw that in there, and this is the trick my mom told me. So I've never actually measured this out, and so I just get my sugar in there, and then what I want to do is I want to put enough water just to cover the sugar, so not a whole lot extra there. Now we're going to throw that on there. Now I use vanilla flavoring. It's the difference between vanilla flavoring and vanilla extract. So you can use vanilla extract. The flavor's a little bit different. This gives you a little more, I don't know how to describe it, but you wouldn't use as much vanilla extract as you would vanilla flavoring. My mom always used vanilla flavoring, and that's the taste that I'm familiar with, and so that's what I like. And so depending on, I'm doing a full version here. Sometimes I'll half this, and so I do about a half a cup of sugar, and so that depends on how many caps you're going to do of your vanilla flavoring. Now you might also, depending on the brand, some are a little stronger than others, so this may vary. You have to just get used to the flavor. So for what I've done, I'll do 4 capfuls of vanilla for this one. Now my mom would stop here, but one thing that I've added, just to maybe thicken it up a little bit and also give it a little bit extra flavor, is do just a little bit of brown sugar. So for about a cup of sugar and what I've got so far, I do, that's not quite a half a cup, but almost a half a cup of brown sugar. Okay, we're just gonna leave that and let that boil while we're gonna come back over here to pancakes. Okay, so we look back at our pancake recipe. Now, depending on your griddle, you may need to use some non-stick spray. Our griddle is pretty good, so I'm just gonna go with that. Pretty simple. I like to just start in the middle and just kind of feed it and let it go out, and then you get nice and round pancakes. And you know, depending on how big you want them. Okay, looks good. We're gonna let that cook for just a minute. Now, depending on your griddle, I just set that mine as max, so this is gonna set at 400, just because I know this griddle. You might have to adjust that if you're cooking on the stove or whatnot. Now, my dough is a little bit thin. I could thicken it up a little bit, but this will be fine for this. What I'm watching for is the bubbles. So when I have enough bubbles, then I know it's time to flip them, and you can get perfect golden brown pancakes. A little bit of these bubbles. So this one is pretty close. My griddle is hot here, and it kind of cools down here, so this one always gets done first. Depending on how you like them, some people like them a little light, a little dark. Again, that's personal preference, but you watch for those bubbles, okay? So as soon as you get that, wow, look at that, perfect. Okay, oh, our syrup is boiling. A trick with this syrup is as soon as it boils, you gotta take it off. Because if you let it boil too much, it crystallizes, and then you will not be able to get that out of your pan. So we got a little syrup dispenser here. Let's put that in. Smells good. And the great thing with syrup is you can just throw it in the fridge. If you don't use it all, and save it for later, save it for next time, just throw it in the microwave for about a minute and a half, and you'll be good there. Okay, let's come back to our pancakes. Now this one is also ready to flip, so let's flip that one over. Some people might push these down. I like to leave them alone. That way it keeps them nice and fluffy. Here you kind of get a feel for when they're about ready. You just don't want them to be doughy, right? You want to make sure they're about the same color on the other side. And then it's just after that, you might use some peanut butter as my daughter likes, or you just got regular butter, whichever is your pleasure. Whipped cream. Oh, I should have thrown in some chocolate chips. What you do is if you like chocolate chips in your pancakes, when you first pour the dough, just sprinkle in a couple of chocolate chips, and then you can get chocolate chip pancakes. Give it a look. That's how I look. Perfect. That's how you make homemade pancakes. Thanks for watching.